Hi, Andiamo staff. This is Kristen Bai from Celani Family Vineyards. I'm the sales manager, not only for Michigan, but for several other states that we are dispersed in. But I'm coming to you today virtually and pre-recorded. So I apologize for not being there in person, but if any of you have any questions after this, Andre obviously will be there to answer, but also you can reach out to me. My phone number is 810-772-6055. I'll give Andre some of my cards so that you have that, as well as my email address, which will be kby@chelanywines.com. So I just want to give you a little bit of a background information about the Celani family, just in case you're not fully aware of the relationship between Tom and Vicky Celani and the Vicari family, which they are very close. They've been friends and business partners for quite some time. And as you know, all the Andiamos and Joe Muers here in Michigan and over in Nevada, they have always supported Tom and our wines. And for those of you who don't know, Tom Celani not only has a very small boutique vineyard in Napa, which I will delve into that in a little bit. He also has some businesses here in Michigan that support our economy here. So the vineyard, like I said, it's in Napa Valley. I'm exclusive to Michigan area. I don't travel that often because of COVID. But once all of these restrictions get lifted, I know that I'll be out and about. So Tom does have a couple other businesses and charities. That's the main focus that I want to talk to you about, because I think that's the most important piece about the Celani family. We have the Celani Family Foundation, which they are the main supporters of Capuchin Soup Kitchen, Gleaners Food Bank, and also Forgotten Harvest. And for those of you that don't know, the month of November, we put on a radiothon charity event called Hunger Free in the D. And what that is for is to raise awareness and obviously to give back to the food banks and soup kitchens in downtown Detroit. And we will be having that. It'll be the Monday prior to Thanksgiving. It will be on the radio. And every single year, we raise quite a bit of money in order to reestablish the food banks and soup kitchens, which, as you know, this year is in dire need. So we would appreciate it if you can just pass along that information and just make yourselves aware of it, because I guarantee you a lot of the patrons that are aware of the Celani name and our wines, they may or may not be familiar with that charity, and every penny counts. It really does. So even just mentioning Hunger Free in the D would be fantastic, and we would really appreciate it. So that's one big event that we do. And like I said, those three charities, Tom and Vicky, are huge supporters every single year. And we do have a couple. Tom does have a few other businesses that he has here in Michigan, but the wines are what we're here for today, and this is what we're going to be focusing on. So I'm going to be going through all of the current vintages that we have, whether or not you have the current vintages or maybe this specific varietal within your location. It will be there and it will be coming. So all of these are relevant. We're going to start with a little bit of history about the Celani Family Vineyards. 15 years ago, Tom purchased the property, and little to Vicky's knowledge, his wife, he didn't tell her until much later after he had purchased it. So this is something that Tom, Vicky, and their one daughter, Olivia, they all do collectively together. So it is a very small run business. It's only 20 acres, 17 of which are planted. So the three varietals that we have at the vineyard in Napa are Chardonnay, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc. And those are the original vines that were planted at that location many years ago. And as you know, there are various AVAs within Napa, and where we are at, we are directly northeast of downtown Napa, and the property backs right up to the Napa River. And we've kept, for the majority of the 15 years, those same three varietal vines on the property. Now, the one varietal that we do not grow on the property, but it's still in the Coombsville AVA, which is the same AVA that we are in, is Cabernet Sauvignon. And I will go over who supplies those once we get down to the family Cabernet and our Doré. So the property, like I said, 15 years ago was purchased. Mark Harold is our winemaker. He's been with us from day one. Previously, he was with Phelps, so I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Phelps Winery. Prior to Mark coming on board with us, he only made reds. So the first wine that we're going to be tasting is one of the first whites that Mark Harold, our winemaker, ever made, which is Chardonnay. Originally, like I said, the property had Chardonnay planted, and over the years and the industry of Napa Valley, we eventually grafted over more Merlot. So we only had Merlot and Cape Franc on the property, and we were sourcing our Chardonnay fruit. Now this vintage is the 2019. Some of you may have some 18 in at your location, but the 19 has a new label. So this is the 2019 Celani Chardonnay, and it is silk screened, and this is a design that Olivia and Vicky Celani put together. So it's a lot more modern, a little bit more sleek, and it's very reminiscent of the juice that is inside of here. And when I say that, if you have the 2018 vintage at your location, you'll know that we have the paper label on there, which is a little bit more indicative of a classic Napa Valley Chardonnay, which usually is a little more oaky. This is not. So the majority of the fermentation process for the Chardonnay is done in a stone egg that's imported from France. So you're gonna get a lot of crispness, minerality, some Bosch pear skin. And again, the 19 and the 18, there's not much difference because both of those vintages, that fruit was grown and it was bottled and vinted on the property. So that is our 2019 Chardonnay. And that particular Chardonnay, it's a whole cluster press that we do. So you take the whole cluster of the grapes that we grow on the property and press them. And like I said, this is done with French stone eggs. So you get that crispness, that minerality, and then it does see just a touch of neutral oak, so it gives it that nice creaminess at the end, and also the creaminess will come from it being fermented on its leaves. So that's our 2019 Chardonnay. I'll give you a minute to go ahead and jot down some notes. Okay. Okay, and we're back. So we're going to be moving on to our 2019 Vincenza Rosé. So this is our Vincenza Rosé. Like I said, some of you may not have this at your location yet. However, it is coming. So this is the 2019 Vincenza. Very sleek, very feminine bottle, but very dark juice. Because this is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. So it is the free run juice that makes up Family Cab and our Doré. And if you're not familiar with what free run juice is, so during the winemaking process, when all of the grapes have been sorted and they're put into a vat before they are pressed. When they're put into that vat, gravity obviously is pushing down on all of these tons of grapes, literally. So some of them will get crushed a little bit and some juice will come out. Obviously, immediately when that juice leaves the skin, it's going to start to oxidize. So in the winemaking process, that free run juice is not utilized in the final product. They dump it. And Tom, being blue collar and coming from where he comes from, which is not wasting anything and utilizing everything that you have, he told Mark Harold, our winemaker, to make something with that free run juice. So Mark Harold came up with the Vincenza Rosé. So this is fantastic. This is a perfect Thanksgiving dinner wine. And as you know, some of our Most of our wines there are sold in high-end retail, so Nino Salvaggio's, Plum Market, Cantoro's, if you're in the Plymouth area, you know, some fine wine retailers, they sell our wines. So if you have the chance, pick up a bottle of this. It's $19.99. It's awesome. But this particular rosé is fantastic because it hardly has any tannins, because this rosé only sees 7 months in neutral oak. It has fantastic red, like ripe red strawberries, some rose petals on the nose, and then on the palate, you're gonna get some beautiful notes of cranberry. It never gets old, even for me. And these are the 6 wines I drink all the time. But the Vincenzo Rosé, it's fantastic. You know, it's not like a typical rosé that doesn't hold up to food. This one does, because it's that Cabernet Sauvignon, because it has fuller body. You know, it won't get lost if you have it with a cheese board or, you know, a lighter entree, you know, fish, chicken, things of that nature. It'll be perfect. It's a palate pleaser. It really is, even for individuals who only drink red wine and will only drink Cabernet Sauvignon. Well, this is Cab. It's just a little bit lighter it's a lot lighter on the tannin. So, you know, I encourage anybody who, if you have guests that come in, to try it. It's just fantastic. So that's our Vincenzo Rosé, and that, like I said, is 2019. The next wine that we have all of our reds that are coming up next. So we're going to go through Robusto, Tenacious, Family Cabernet, and then our Ardore. So next we have Robusto, and the current vintage on Robusto is 2018. Now the nose, you're going to get some red raspberries. I always get with Robusto black pepper. Now this Robusto is only 10 months, and all of the oak that we use, you need to take note, all of the oak that we use is d'Arnajou French oak. So that's d'Arnajou cooperage in France. So every cooperage, and Andre will be able to expand upon this because her background is obviously French. Mine is more geared towards Italian. But d'Arnajou French oak is the most sought out cooperage in the world. So Petrus is sets the bar very high in the winemaking world, and they utilize d'Arnajou. Also, the vetting process just to purchase d'Arnajou French oak is extremely intense. We were on a waiting list for 4 years. We had to send them samples of our wine. Then we were given approval to purchase the d'Arnajou French oak. And also, I'll let you know that once we are done utilizing the French oak to make our wines, we are supposed to, and it's under contract, and we do this, shellac our barrels so that you cannot use them, or you destroy them. So therefore, you're not allowed to sell them to anybody else. They are meant only for our vineyard, for our winemaking purposes only. So extreme vetting process, not easy to obtain, not easy to purchase from them, and you need to get their permission. So it's very high end, just like the corks that we use. You know, the corks that Tom and Vicky and Mark Harold all choose to use. These corks are from cork trees in Sardinia, so the island off of the Italian coast. So very high end, very high quality, along with our glass. You know, the glass that we utilize, everything's high end because we are very boutique. I didn't go into how boutique we were. I told you the size and the acreage of our property, but we only produce about 5,000 cases of wine annually. And our largest market is Michigan because Tom and Vicky are from Michigan. They live here. The second largest market we have is Ohio, And then the other states that I oversee that we are in, you know, like Vegas, New York, you know, Miami, Naples, you know, some northeastern seaboard states. Those are all based on Tom's personal relationships that he has, and a lot of those are on premise, a lot of restaurants. But other than that, it's mainly Michigan. So back to, you know, how boutique we are. We utilize the highest quality that we can: glass, corks, and also the barrels, obviously, the fruit and the juice. Winemaker, you know, we have a very highly well-respected winemaker. So we're very blessed to be able to share these wines, and that's why we have such a following. All right, so I'll give you guys a minute if you want to go ahead and pause, because we'll move on to the remaining 3 reds that we have left. Okay, so we're back. So we are going to be moving on to, oh, I didn't even tell you, Robusto. On the label, you'll notice it says proprietary red wine. Robusto is 100% Merlot, but it is a blend of Merlot. So Merlot from the estate that we grow, and Merlot that is sourced. And the Merlot that we grow on the estate, the majority of it gets saved for Tenacious, which is the wine that we're moving on to. So Tenacious, the 2017, this is another estate wine, meaning it's bottled and vinted on the estate. All of the fruit that comes from the estate goes into this bottle. So Tenacious, you'll even see on the bottle, and Andre can show you, it'll say on here, estate. And this is the 2017. This is Merlot and Cabernet Franc. So this is a red Bordeaux blend. It's 70% Merlot, 30% Cabernet Franc, 22 months in Darnajou French oak. You're gonna get notes of, you're gonna get some dark chocolate on the nose. And this in comparison to the Robusto, because the Robusto is only 10 months in the Darnajou French oak. This is 22. It's a lot more tannins. So this pairs fantastic with a marbled meat. So Delmonico steak, ribeye, something that's got a little bit more fat to it. Robusto is one of those wines, because it's only 10 months in the Darnajou, where it's considered medium bodied. Tenacious is definitely fuller, because it's that red Bordeaux blend. So that's Tenacious. You're gonna get, you know, some amazing, you know, dark fruits in here, some dark berries, some creme de cassis. So I will give you a minute to write down your thoughts and discuss this among yourselves before we move on to the final 2, which will be our Cabernets. All right, welcome back. So we are going to be moving on to our Cabernet. We call it the family. You will see on our 2019 vintage that comes out, which will be in 2 more vintages, it will say the family on it, because that's what we refer to it as. This is the 2017. And I should let you know that all of our wines, except for rosé, they're all unfined and unfiltered. However, the 2018 and 2019 Chardonnay, I have not found a lot of sediment. Obviously, since I told you they're whole cluster press, you may get some sediment in there. However, I haven't found any in the past 2 vintages. Obviously, the free run juice, we do filter that. The Robusto 2018 vintage, you haven't seen a lot of sediment. Same with the 2017 Tenacious. However, the Cabernet Sauvignons, there's quite a bit of sediment in both of them. So with that, you need to discuss with Andre how it is that you present an unfined, unfiltered wine to your table. For individuals who are familiar with Celani Family Vineyards, they know that our wines are unfined and unfiltered. However, you still need to educate them and let them know. Obviously, we love for you to decant all of our wines, even the Chardonnay. Okay, so if Tom and Vicky come in, decant the Chardonnay, he will be extremely impressed. Just make sure you put that Chardonnay in a cooling, a cooled situation, not too cold. um, but you want to decant our wines, one, for the sediment, and two, obviously, to let them open up and aerate. So we're going to be moving on to, like I said, the 2017 Cabernet. And our Cabernet Sauvignon, we source our fruit from Caldwell and Bennett Vineyards. So they are the main suppliers of our fruit, and we get that trucked in. They're still in the Coombsville AVA, so they're not that far away from where our winery is. And again, our land, the 17 acres that are planted, were never planted with Cabernet Sauvignon. However, Mark Harold knows the best Cabernet Sauvignon producers in the valley. So therefore, that's why we've chosen to partner with Caldwell and Bennett. And obviously, it's up to Mark Harold, the winemaker, to know exactly on Caldwell and Bennett, on each of those vineyards' lands, the best rows, the best vines, the best lot, the best acre, all the way down to, that row of vines that he believes is the best at producing that fruit. So we do source our Cabernet Sauvignon. We do get it brought in. We hand sort our fruit when it gets brought in. So this 2017 Cab sees 20 months in that Darnajou French oak. And it's a 90% new Darnajou French oak. And you're gonna taste the tannins and that toast from the, we do a high toast on our barrels. You're gonna get notes of mulberries, which I'm finding that a lot of people don't know what a mulberry is, even though we live in Michigan. Black cherries, roasted almonds, and a good amount of tannins. You get that drying sensation. So again, California Cabernet Sauvignon, beautiful, big, bold, not chewy, but very clean finish. Just fantastic with red meats, steak, beautiful. And we will move on soon to our final wine, but I will give you a pause so you can discuss the family Cabernet. Okay, so we're back. So the final wine that we are going to be drinking this evening, and you will be drinking, is our Ardore. And I want to go over the label a little bit because this is a very special label. So this is the 2016 vintage. And this label, if you notice, I don't know if there's any cigar smokers out there, but this label was designed and created by Carlito Fuentes. So Arturo Fuentes makes, I would say, because I'm biased, the world's best cigars. And Carlito Fuentes is very good friends with the Celani family. And I don't know if you're aware, but every June we do Cars and Cigars at Freedom Hill Amphitheater, which Tom owns. And it's a charity event. So the Celani Family Foundation puts on that event with the Cigar Family Foundation. So the proceeds to that goes to the Cigar Family Foundation, which the Fuentes family heads up. So Carlito Fuentes designed this label for us. It has a picture of our estate in California, the initials VOB. So Vincenzo, their eldest son, Olivia, which is their daughter, and Benedetto, their youngest. And we have some Indian Head coin casino chips on here because Tom, I don't know if you know this, but he helped legalize gambling in Detroit, and he owns a few Native American casinos in Oklahoma. And we have a couple Ferrari horses here because Tom loves his Ferraris. He loves his fast cars. He actually used to race for GTs. I'll have to find those pictures down in the basement at our office because I found them. They're pretty cool. And then there's 12 stars here around just the center here. And what that represents is Tom and his father, back in the day, they used to have a very small distribution company, and they were the #1 distributor of Miller High Life beer in the state of Michigan for 12 years. So hence the 12 stars on here. And for those of you who know Tom's other business ventures across the nation, so California, Colorado, and Michigan, High Life Farms is his marijuana company, and High Life Farms is an ode to when him and his father were the #1 Miller High Life distributors in Michigan. So everything's got a story, everything ties in together. So it's very beautiful. We're very blessed to have, you know, Carlito Fuentes design this for us. And I implore you to feel this bottle because obviously you can see the punt on this. It's fantastic for pouring. It's beautiful, it's sleek, it's very masculine. And you'll notice on the back of the bottle, it says that there's only 10 barrels of this produced every vintage. So we only make 10 barrels of this every vintage of the cab. And also another major difference between the Ardore and the family Cabernet is this gets 100% brand new Journey Jus French oak barrels every single vintage. And also the juice is in there for 22 months versus the 20 in the family Cabernet. So this juice, when we get those grapes in, Tom and Vicky and Mark Harold and everybody else working at the vineyard, they're hand picking the best Cabernet Sauvignon grapes that come in from Caldwell and Bennett. And those perfect grapes that we get go into Ardore, and then all of the other grapes go into family Cabernet. So those are the main differences between Ardore and the family Cabernet. Also, you'll see, obviously I can't show you some of the video, but if you hold the family Cab and the Ardore over white tablecloth or a piece of paper, you'll see there's some definite, a little bit of a color variance. The Ardore is a little bit more inky in color. The depth is definitely there. And on the nose, you're gonna get cigar box, some suede. And then on the palate, you're gonna get like ripe, dark, like Bing cherries and ripe, dark, you know, mulberries, blue. I mean, it's just very, and suede. I get suede, I get tobacco leaf, I get cigar box. It's fantastic. It's a very big cab. So those are our wines. Those are our 6 wines. Those are the only ones that we make and sell. One year we did make a Mount Veeder Cabernet, and there was one year that we made a Sauvignon Blanc that didn't do that great. So some people may bring that up to you, the ones that are very savvy about our history, but these are the 6 wines: our Chardonnay, our Rosé, our Robusto, which is our 100% Merlot, our Red Bordeaux blend, which is tenacious, and then our 2 Cabernets. And like I said, if you have any questions, Andre is there to help you, and I'm always here to answer any questions or inquiries that you may have, whether it's about the wine, Tom's other businesses, or more importantly, the charities that we have. Because obviously this year we're really in need, and we're really focusing on Hunger Free in the D, which, like I said, that's going to be the Monday prior to Thanksgiving, where we're going to have our radiothon, and it's going to be hosted at Palazzo Debacci. So anybody who can just pass the word along and let people know, that would be fantastic. So I hope that you guys learned a lot. And like I said, I wish that I could be there in person, but I at least was able to put this together, and Andre's there She's a fantastic resource, so please utilize her. And if I don't see you before the holidays, happy holidays. Be safe, be healthy, and be happy. Thanks, guys. We'll see you around.